Psalm 105. Let's look at verse 8 because there's a context here. He remembers his covenant forever. God remembers his covenant. Uh, it's a covenant to Israel. He remembers his covenant forever, the promise he made for 1,000 generations, the covenant he made with Abraham, the oath he swore to Isaac. This is both a statement of God's faithfulness and a review of history. Now, to me, this is interesting. God's faithfulness will always be about the past, history, and the future. How do you know that God is faithful? Because he has been faithful, because of the history that we have with him, because of his history with his people. Okay, we in the present and what we can project of the future, God's faithfulness in now and the future, we trust his faithfulness on the basis of our history with him. And so God remembers his covenant forever. And the psalmist is going to expand on or elucidate a little bit on this covenant. But this is a covenant that God made forever. In a time when, as I record this, the world is at, I don't know what I would call it. It's not exactly cross purposes. It would be of two minds about Israel. There are those who believe that Israel they have taken Palestine. I can't buy that. I'm on the side that believes that Israel, the geographic territory, is there as a result of God's covenant with his people that precedes Palestinians by many centuries. Okay. God remembers his covenant forever, the promise he made for 1,000 generations. Now, if you're a literalist, you're going to get your pen out and calculate. Okay, I think about 30 years, maybe. I don't know. No, that's all right. I have to get online to figure out how many years is considered a generation. Then I'd have to multiply that by 1,000. I would come out with this number, and that's not the point. When the psalmist wrote this, it would have been interpreted that 1,000 generations basically equals, I can't count that high, the covenant God made with Abraham, the oath he swore to Isaac. Isaac is Abraham's son, actually his second son, but the one through whom God's promise was to be fulfilled. He confirmed it to Jacob, Isaac's son, one of his twin sons. He confirmed it to Jacob as a decree, to Israel as an everlasting covenant. Now, Jacob's name, God changed Jacob's name from Jacob to Israel. He strives, he struggles, he wrestled with God, and the angel popped him in the hip socket, and he walked with a limp the rest of his life because he wrestled with an angel, and essentially he wrestled with God. Okay. It's an everlasting covenant. This is not just a promise. This is a covenant, which carries even more weight than a mere promise. Okay. And here is the promise. To you, I will give the land of Canaan as the portion you will inherit. Now, theologically, biblically, the territorial issue of modern Israel, I think, is connected to this covenant, the everlasting covenant that God made with Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and their descendants. I will give the land of Canaan as the portion you will inherit. There's an interesting thing there about inheriting. Normally, the inheritance is I guess I would call it the product of someone, the death of someone, but not always. It's possible that a person might inherit some portion of or sense of the estate of another before that one's death. It can be done. And that's, God doesn't die, okay? Spoiler alert. So this inheritance that they would inherit, what do you have to do to inherit anything? Well, generally, you inherit it because the person wants you to have it. It's their desire. But some inheritances come with provisions and conditions. There was a condition for God's promise here and his bequeathing of Canaan to Israel. You know the condition. They would go and take it. There's a piece of that well, for me, I see it connected to my walk with Christ, my relationship to God through Christ by grace, in that I have it. I don't have to do anything except accept it for that relationship to be there. But for me, to most benefit and profit from that relationship, there are things I do. Does that make any sense? It's New Year's here. Gosh, 2024, that's bizarre. But at any rate, I'm kind of a New Year's resolution maker. You may not be. I know a lot of people, no, come on, give me a break. I know others who make a New Year's January 1st resolution, and when January 2nd comes, they're done. One of my resolutions for this year is I want to be more marked by gratitude. This will require intention. And it can only happen by the power of God's grace at work in me and my partnership with his grace by my own intention. It's a little bit like this inheritance that Israel had. Well, maybe I'll challenge you today to think seriously about any resolutions you might make that will, see, you can't get God's love more. You can't get more accepted by God. He fully, completely, authentically, and unconditionally loves and accepts you. But you can, and I can, experience his grace and reap the blessings and the benefits of his grace by cooperating with the purposes of his grace in my life. And to cooperate, it's not about doing, it's about being. From being loved, accepted, affirmed, out of that comes doing things that are in reflection of my being loved and accepted and affirmed. I do not in order to get, but I do because I have already been given. And I work from the grace of God in order to align my life with His design better and better and better. I don't expect to ever do it completely, but I mean, it's kind of one of those Facebook things, but if I can just be more aligned today than I was yesterday, that's a legitimate goal. How will I do that? Because no goal is accomplished, no goal that has any meaning is accomplished without some kind of intention and plan. Well, my plan this year is, first of all, I'm going to intentionally be more grateful. The ball got rolling in just after Thanksgiving. I spent 30 days journaling my gratitude. It's a great habit, great thing to do, but I want to carry that on. And not only do I want it in my journaling, I want it in my attitude and my approach to my life and the life of others. Okay. And then secondly, I want to know Jesus better. So my plan is I bought the harmonized gospel by the guys that created the Chosen TV series. And they've done a really good job of harmonizing the gospel. If you're not familiar with the harmony of the gospel, what it does is it takes all four of the biographies of Jesus, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and it creates them in a harmonic way, meaning instead of having, here's Matthew's account all the way through, here's Mark's all the way through, Luke's and John's, here they are in a sequential narrative combining all four of those biographies. Well, they've set it up so that you can do a reading for 40 days and have gone through the entire gospel, all of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I intend to do this and repeat it until 2024 is done. I want the story of Jesus in me. I have a great blessing. Our friend James Backus took us to the Holy Land about 3 years ago, and it took us to the significant sites of the gospel. And so when I'm reading it, I can see places that we went. It's amazing. And but as I read, and I've only been doing it for a week now, but man, I can see these places. Now, I can't see them as they exactly were in Jesus' day, but I can see them. Okay, so what's the point? The point is, we have an inheritance, and we can appreciate and benefit, be blessed by God's grace as we cooperate with His design. So what might you do to cooperate this whole year, but starting today, with God's design? It's a big challenge. It's worth taking up, though. Well, I'll see you next time on Soul Care with Stevie.